Good morning, true believers. This is a mysterious legend section of the Freedom to Draw Unsolved Mysteries. We did have requests by viewers to do more paranormal stuff and mysterious legend type things. So today's episode is going to be about a mysterious legend off the coast of British Columbia, Cadborosaurus Bay. This is Caddy, the Cadborosaurus. It is supposed to be a legendary dinosaur. Cadborosaurus. We call it Caddy for short because it's so hard to pronounce. Strap yourselves in, guys. We're about to enter the mind of a sea monster. Supposedly, it's been around for centuries. We're going to get right into it, and we're going to draw this monster at the same time, guys, today on the Freedom to Draw Unsolved Mysteries. Alright, Caddy is short for Cadborosaurus. And this article is trying to explain away this legend. The most plausible explanation for the sea serpent legend. For as long as humans have been navigating the world's oceans, there have been wild stories about sea monsters. There are centuries-old accounts of sailors and their ships meeting their demise after running into a sea serpent or other mysterious sea creatures while exploring the vast open oceans. Of course, these stories are taken with a grain of salt today, just like reports of UFOs or Sasquatch. But the rumors persist. In the Pacific Northwest, especially along the coast of British Columbia, there are many sightings and legends of the sea serpent-like creature called Caddy. Some tales go back thousands of years due to the discovery of strange Native American petroglyphs that depicted the same creature sailors claim to have seen. So this is one drawing I found off the net. I thought it was pretty good. It captures all the stuff. It is said to have like a horse or camel type head and these strange flippers. So this picture depicted all of that for you guys to see. It is a strange looking creature. However, there is a big difference between the Caddy legend and other legendary cryptids. From 1930 until the early 1960s, people discovered several of the alleged monsters' carcasses. At first, they were seen as proof of the validity of Caddy and cryptozoology and in general. The strange remains mystified and even terrified locals in Greater Victoria, British Columbia. However, the things are not always as they appear to be. Upon further examination of the sea monster legend like this, we can see how people's imaginations run wild when encountering something they do not fully understand. Descriptions and history of the caddy legend. The creature known as the Cadborosaurus has been seen all along the Pacific coast of North America. So they say this is the North American equivalent of the Loch Ness Monster, which I've heard that Loch Ness Monster has been proven to be a hoax. Nonetheless, but it is most well known in the Victoria, British Columbia area. Both the Cadborosaurus and caddy nicknames come from nearby Cadboro Bay, according to Cadborosaurus.ca. Some of the first reports of the creature off the coast of Canada were reported in the late 1800s and early 1900s, primarily by sailors. In one report, Captain C.J. House of the ship Cloya claimed to have seen a serpent-like creature that raised its head 30 feet above the water surface. Additionally, House claimed the beast had a 2-foot head, approximately 18 inches wide. The body was green and gold in color. While some reports describe similar creatures, descriptions of the monster vary widely. Some reports said the beast had flippers, like a whale or plesiosaur, while others claimed a more serpentine, snake or eel-like appearance. The average length varied anywhere from 30 to 60 feet or more. Many reports mention a horse-like head, and at least one 1933 report claimed it had the head of a camel. In a 1934 report, 2 hunters claimed the beast ate a duck they wounded before they could retrieve it while they were hunting in the bay. Some reports were just of a long neck, just jutting out of the water, while others appeared to be mysterious moving humps undulating in and out of the water. Eventually, someone sent a letter to the Victoria Daily Times suggesting naming the creature Cadborosaurus, or caddy for short, and the name stuck. Many people convinced themselves that a new species of sea creature unknown to science swam the waters off the coast of British Columbia. But in other places, other than British Columbia, there's a creature named Ogopogo, and he is said to have the same characteristics. So another good question is, what is the difference between Ogopogo and Cadborosaurus? Maybe that would be a good follow-up to this video. In my brief research on this, seems like there's not much difference between Ogopogo and Cadborosaurus. Just the location of where it's sighted is the only difference I can see. Those weird sea serpent carcasses. So in the old days, they used to hunt whale, and they would take the blubber from a whale, and they would basically, they hired people to scrape the whale carcass, gut it, look for stuff of value. So when these people were gutting it, they found a carcass of one of these, they say, a Cadborosaurus. And this is the picture that they took. This is the only known picture ever of the serpent. You can see the carcass, the tail is there, and then the body goes along here, and this is the head, like the dragon's head or the camel's head. You can see it. It's just placed among a bunch of boards and old wood, but you can clearly see it, and it's dark, like a dark green trash bag color. They say that was the color of it, but it was probably more like black if it was rotting inside of a whale for months and months. This is the only known photograph of this creature. The Cadborosaurus. For as long as there have been sightings of caddy, there have also been reports of mysterious bodies washing ashore that may be the creature. Some earliest accounts of bodies washing ashore on Vancouver Island occurred during the first sightings. However, many of the details of these discoveries have been lost to time. There is almost no way for cryptozoologists to verify anything about them. Then, in the 1930s, came a new rash of carcass findings. One of the most famous of these is the Naden Harbor carcass. According to cryptids, this carcass was discovered in the stomach of a sperm whale that was hauled to a whaling station in Vancouver, 1937. Like I said, right there, guys. The body was severely decomposed and partially digested by the time they found it. However, the whalers were struck by its 20-foot length and strange serpent-like body. It also had peculiar finned tail. The harbor's first aid officers G.V. Borman and F.S. Huband took several photographs of this carcass, including some close-ups of the head and tail that mystified most who saw them. Some people even called the body baby caddy, since it was shorter than many eyewitnesses' reports. So they say this photograph that I showed you there is of a baby Cadborosaurus. And it was digested by a whale. But this wasn't the only strange carcass to wash up on Canadian shores, because 10 years later, in December of 1947, a new carcass washed ashore on the Vancouver Island at Barkley Sound, named the Effingham carcass. This body was much more significant. It measured a stunning 45 feet in length. It appeared to have a long serpent-like body an enlarged head. You can see a photo of that carcass above. Once again, some people insisted the body could only be that of an unknown animal. And I think this is what they're talking about here. But that looks like a drawing, so I'm not sure what they're talking about here. However, the appearance of decomposing carcasses can be deceiving. In the case of the Naden Harbor carcass, the mammal-like appearance of the body was no coincidence, because Francis Kermode, the director of the Royal BC Museum in Victoria, was given a chance to examine the carcass closely. He determined it to be in the fetal stage, a baleen whale in the fetal stage that the enormous sperm whale had cannibalized. It is believed that the remains were disposed of after that. So there is no way to verify what the carcass was. Yes, they got rid of that. It's too bad, too. They could have preserved it, and that would have been a very interesting thing to bring out on this mysterious debate on whether this thing is real or a hoax. I mean, they would have the petrified body of it preserved. I don't know why they didn't do that. They should have. Hindsight is 2020. As the Effingham carcass later analysis determined, it was likely the heavily decomposed and elongated remains of the giant shark that was mutilated beyond recognition by natural deterioration and scavenging by other ocean creatures. In total, there are more than a dozen examples of bodies that people initially thought were caddy that later turned out to be something already known to science. For instance, an alleged sea serpent carcass found in 1930 near Valdez, Alaska, turned out to be a whale. In 1934, a long dead and decomposed basking shark was initially mistaken for a sea serpent when its 30-foot remains were found on Henry Island. Yet another carcass was discovered in Alaska in 1956 and later revealed to be a rare beaked whale. Historians have noted other obvious inspiration for Cadborosaurus can be found thousands of miles away in the rolling hills of Scotland, because the early 1930s was about when the legend of the Loch Ness monster took a grip of popular culture. People finally spread the stories of Nessie worldwide, and sea monsters were on people's minds everywhere. It's not too much of a stretch to imagine the stories of Nessie got people to see what they wanted to see in these weird bodies washing up on beaches. While most of the carcasses were explained away as dead whales or sharks that were decomposed beyond recognition, some believers pointed to the eyewitness sightings as further proof something was out there. Possible explanations for these sightings have included sea lions, seals, whales, dolphins, and other known animals that somebody may have misinterpreted due to water or weather conditions. Take a look at it again, guys. That does not look like a whale, a sea lion. If anything, you could argue that it's maybe some dead seaweed, but you could see the tail and you could see the head. It is an actual photograph, so One of the more interesting possible explanations of caddy is possibilities some people were seeing a rare oarfish, which you can see pictured above. That's that. One of the ocean's least understood creatures, the fish is likely the basis for many sea serpent legends. The oarfish is a long fish with very few observations in the wild. Most of what scientists know about the fish is from specimens that have washed ashore dead, just like the caddy sea serpent carcasses. The size makes sense too. Oarfish have been documented as reaching nearly 30 feet in length. They may grow even larger, but the fish are so rare that scientists know little about them. And why do they know little about them? Because they can't get down there to certain trenches in the seas and oceans to examine them in their natural state. We can't get down that far, guys. So they trying to explain this away, but the scientists have no idea either. The Mariana Trench is a classic example of this. We can't get to certain parts of the Mariana Trench, so we don't know what's living down in the Mariana Trench. It could be creatures like this down there. While some people may be disappointed in most plausible explanations of caddy, we see it as an educational opportunity. Animals like the oarfish are so unique and mysterious, and it's unlikely we'd even be talking about them if not for the legends of sea serpents. In a way, legends of sea serpents like caddy give us a chance to learn more about the ocean's weirdest known occupants. Suppose it takes a myth to shed a little light on some of the ocean's most unknown inhabitants. Then so be it. We have explored very little of our world's oceans, and there are tons of creatures living there that are even more amazing than the ones we can dream of in our imaginations. The more we learn about them, the more we will respect them and preserve them for future generations to enjoy. A legend like caddy helps to instill the feeling of wonder and awe that will help us do just that. Blah, blah, blah. They don't know either, guys. They're just trying to explain it away. But this legend has a picture to prove it. And I'm not willing to believe it 100%, but I'm willing to entertain the thought that we don't know what's down there in those oceans, guys. We have no clue. And these people that wrote this article are just clearly trying to explain it away with science. So that does it for this episode, guys. Do something nice for somebody today. It doesn't cost you a dime. This is another episode of the Freedom to Draw Unsolved Mysteries has concluded. Peace out, true believers.